Okay, everyone, so let's continue with the list part 2. Last part I was not able to continue because I got some sort of important call immediately, right? So, okay, I was talking about a list over here, and there is a function called as list.append, okay? So now what this function is going to do, so as this append name suggests, so it is going to append an element at the end of the list, not the beginning, not in a middle, but it is going to append a data at the end of the list. For example, so let's suppose if I'm going to write L5 append 3, and now if I'm going to print L5, so here you will be able to find out that it has appended a data at the end. So whatever data that I would like to append inside a list, I can append it easily. If I would like to append a list inside a list at the end, yes, I will be able to append that data as well. Right, so let's suppose if I'm printing L5, so here is a data that I'm able to append inside a L5. So append is a very basic function, and it always try to append a data at the end of the list. Now there is a function called as extend. So we have a list L5, let's suppose this is the list that I have, and then if I'm going to write L5 dot extend. Now let's try to understand what extend does. So extend list by appending element from the iterables. So here, what is the meaning of iterables? So meaning of iterables is a kind of an element where elements are available in a index format. Okay. So what I will do is I'll try to maybe pass a string over here. And if I'm going to show you L5, right? If I'm going to show you L5, so this is how my L5 looks like. So here, if I'm going to write a string, so one by one, it will try to unravel the list, unwrap the list, and then it will try to append it one by one. This is what extend does internally. So it is going to unravel the list and then it is going to perform the append operation. So just an extension of the previous function, append function. Let's suppose if I'm going to write L5 dot extend, and here if I'm going to give a list element itself, right? List element itself. So let's see how this list looks like. So it is trying to append a data, right? Append a data 3, 4, 5, 6 by unraveling it. 3, 4, 5, 6 by unraveling it. So one by one, it is extracting a data and then it is trying to append a data inside a list. Okay, so I'll try to take one small list over here. So where I have a couple of data, 4, 5, 6, SUDH, this kind of a list I have. This list became a very long, right? So it will maybe create a confusion for all of you and you will not be able to see a result immediately. It will give you a pain. So keeping that in our mind, let me take a small list. So extend, and here, if I'm going to pass integer, right? If I'm going to pass an integer, now what is going to happen? If I'm going to pass integer, just go after the definition of extend function. It says that extend the list by appending element from the iterable. Focus on this word, iterables. Now, if I'm going to execute it, it is giving me an error. Why? The reason is integer object that I'm trying to consider is not an iterable object. We can't iterate it. Internally, system is not going to store this particular data by taking indexes, and that is a problem. If you are going to pass integer inside the extend, it is not going to work at all. Yes. Whereas in case of append, there is no such iterable kind of a condition. So in case of append, I will be able to append it directly. But in case of extend, I will not be able to do the same. Now, let's talk about next kind of a function. So append we are able to understand, extend we are able to understand. There is a function called as insert. So see, in case of append, we are able to append a data at the end of the list. Yes, at the end of the list, we are able to append the data. In case of extend, you are supposed to pass an iterable object, a kind of object where system can store a data in an indexing format. Then only it will be able to unravel it and then it will try to append it one by one. In case of insert, you can try to pass two parameters. Let me hover again. So the first parameter is index and the second parameter is data that you would like to store. Now, so insert function helps you out to insert a data inside a list at any point, means at any indexes that you are looking for. For example, Let's suppose I have a list L6 and I would like to append a data before 5, right? Before 5, I would like to append the data. Before 4, I would like to append the data. Means instead of 5, so I would like to move 5 one step and then I would like to put a data over there. This is where insert function comes into a picture. So insert is a very simple operation. So here L6 and then I can try to write insert, and here as a first parameter, I can try to pass what? I can try to pass a place where I would like to insert a data. Let's suppose I would like to insert data at first place, at first indexes, and then I can try to give a data set. Now, if I'm going to show you L6, you will be able to find out that it has shifted this data one step, right? It has shifted this data one step and then it is trying to insert a data at a location which I have given. This is what insert says. Insert object before indexes. Before indexes means shift the previous one. So the index of the previous one will change. So let's suppose index of the previous one is n. So it will become n plus 1. And then before that, it will try to append technically, which is nothing but the index that you are trying to provide. This is what insert does. I can try to insert any element at any places that I want. So here at 0th indexes, if I would like to insert maybe another list, I can try to insert it. So let me show you L6 now. Here, as you can see, it has shifted the entire data set. It has shifted, and then it is trying to place a fresh data which I'm trying to insert in this particular location, which is 0 in my case. So if you have to insert a data at the end, you can do it. If you have to insert a data maybe in between or maybe at the beginning, you can do it. If you have to unravel the data and then if you have to insert it, that is also possible. So this is where append, extend and insert function comes into a picture. These are the inbuilt function which is given to you inside a list. Now, so we are able to insert a data. Let's suppose we have L6 over here, right? And let's suppose I would like to remove a data. Yes, I would like to remove a data. I would like to delete a data from this particular list. So let's see. So whether I will be able to do it or not. So there is a function called as L6.remove. Now what remove does? So here, if I'm going to pass SUDH, okay, SUDH if I'm going to pass, and then if I'm going to print L6, you will be able to see the difference. This was the original L6 and then this is the L6 after remove operation. You will be able to find out that I have SUDH twice in my list. Now what remove is trying to do? So remove is trying to remove the first occurrence, only the first occurrence. It's not removing the second one. It's removing a very first occurrence of this particular data set which I'm trying to pass. So we have SUDH twice, but it is not removing all this two. It is removing the very first occurrence of this particular data. Now if I'm going to hover the mouse, it says the same thing. Remove the first occurrence of the value. Yes. Removes the first occurrence of the value. Now let's suppose if I'm going to do L6.remove and then here if I'm going to pass this kind of a data. So remove this particular data. Now I know that this data set is not available. This data set is not available in my L6, right? It is giving me value error. So list remove X is not in list. So this is the error I will end up getting if there is no data which I would like to remove. Right? There is no such data which is available inside my list. So it is giving me this kind of a issue, this kind of a problem. Now, the next one is basically L6.pop. So here, remove, I'm able to remove it. I'm just trying to pass the data and then I'm able to remove it. Let's suppose I would like to pop up the data. I would like to remove a data from some indexes. So how it is going to work, or maybe from a last, I would like to remove the data. So how it is going to work. So before that, let me print L6 for your reference. So this is my data as of now inside L6. Now, if I'm going to do L6.pop, okay, pop the data. Now what will happen? So it is trying to pop up the data, this particular data. So by default, if I'm not giving anything, if I'm directly calling pop function, it is popping up the very last data by default. Yes. Now if I'm going to print L6, see, it has popped up the very last data. But in case of pop, it is giving you a flexibility to even pass an indexes. So let's suppose if I'm going to pass 2, what is the element available at second indexes? So 0, 1 and then 2. So at second index, we have 5. Now let's see what happens. It is removing 5. If I'm going to print my L6 now, 5 is gone. As you can see, 5 is gone, means data from a particular index is gone. So pop basically is going to remove a data by default from a very last indexes if you are not going to give a indexes. But if you are going to give a indexes, right? If you're going to give a indexes, in that case, from that particular index, it is going to pop up the data. Now let's suppose I'm going to give pop and I'm giving index is equals to 100. I know that there is no such index called as 100 over here, right? There is no such index called as 100 over here. Let me pop it up. Pop index out of range. So if there is no such indexes, in that case, it is going to give you index error that I'm not able to understand the index that you're trying to enter. I'm really very sorry, right? I can't pop up this particular data because no such index exists inside this particular operation. So this is how pop is going to work, guys. Now, let me print L5. So L5 is a huge one, right? I would like to pop maybe this one. So 0, 1, 2, 3. This one I would like to pop up. Means I would like to remove this one. So what I can do is maybe I can use a remove function and maybe I can try to use a pop function. Either of these functions I can try to use. In case of remove, I can pass a data. In case of pop, I can pass the indexes. So maybe index will be much more preferable for me. So 0, 1, 2, 3. So here L5 dot pop and then here I can try to write 3. Now if I'm going to print L5, my 2, 3, 4, 5 list is gone. See, there is no such list which is available over here. So yes, I'm able to pop up the data set in a easiest possible way out of my entire list. Now there is another function you will be able to find out inside a pop called as index function. This index function is exact same as the function which was available inside a list. So L5 dot index, if I'm going to call, now what this function is going to do. So just hover a mouse, return the very first index of the value. Right? Return the very first index of the value. So if I'm going to give, let's suppose 4 over here. Now I have given what? I have given 4 in this particular place. Now what is a meaning of this particular one? So here it will try to return, index function always try to return the very first occurrences of the indexes. Do we have 4? Yes, we have 4. Now 4 is available at what index? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So it is telling me that 4 is available at this particular indexes. Very simple, right? Let's suppose I'm going to do it with 3 because we have 3 twice over here. So we have 3 over here and we have 3 over here. Now let's see for which 3 it is going to give me the indexes. So it is giving me indexes for this particular 3, not for this particular 3. So always it is going to return the indexes for the very first occurrence, not the second occurrences, just like a string. So this function is exact same as the string function that we have discussed. Even in case of a string, we have an index function, and even over here, so we have a index function. Okay, so we are able to do it now. So here, let's suppose if I'm writing L5 dot count, there is a function called as count. Okay, there is a function called as count in this particular place. Now here, if I'm going to hover my mouse, return the number of occurrences of the value. So it always try to give you what? How many times a particular element has appeared in a particular list. So let's suppose if I'm giving 3. So how many times 3 has appeared? 3 has appeared twice. 3 has appeared twice. It should give me 2. Okay, fine. So it is giving me 2 over here. Now let's suppose if I'm giving L5 dot count, and then if I'm going to write 100 over here, 100 is not available in L5, right? 100 is not available in L5. So it is giving me count is equals to 0. So count function always try to give you the count of or number of occurrences of a particular data set in a particular collection. Now there is something called as sort. So here I'm going to create L7 list and 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, something like that. I'm going to put up in any order. Okay. Now here, if I'm going to call L7 dot sort, sort means sorting. It will always try to perform the sorting operations by default into an ascending order. Now L7, if I'm going to print, what you are able to see. See, here we have a data. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 2, 4, 5, 7, 3, 4, 5 means here we have unordered data. Data is not available in a order, a particular order. But after implementing this sort operation, you are able to see that it has ordered the data into an ascending order. So first we have 2, then 3, then 4, and then 5, and then 6, and then 7. So in an ascending order, it is able to perform the ordering by default. Now, if I would like to perform this ordering operations in a descending order. So I want 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2 in this way, in this fashion, if I'm looking for this data, I can do that as well. So I can write S7 sort, and then here I can try to pass a parameter. So what kind of a parameter, guys, I'm going to pass? So maybe I'm going to pass reverse is equals to, there is a parameter. If you will hover your mouse, there is a parameter called as reverse. So by default, reverse is equals to false. I'm going to do reverse is equals to true. Reverse is equal to true means descending order, right? By default, reverse is equal to false means don't reverse, right? Always go in ascending order, always go in a forward direction. But here, if I'm going to do reverse is equals to true, which is an inbuilt parameter. Now, if you're going to check L7, it's available in a descending order, right? So the bigger one in the first place, and then a smaller, then a smaller, then the smallest. In this way, it will try to order the entire element. Now let's suppose if I have L8 list where we have a mixture of the data. So we have basically like a KUMAR, and then we have again some sort of a integer. Okay, so KUMAR, this one. Okay, so this is the data set that we have, let's suppose. Now here, if I'm going to do L8 dot sort, now what will happen? Let's see. Now here, it will try to perform a sorting operation, right? It is trying to perform the sorting operation. As per me, it should perform the sorting operation. But here, as we have a mixture of integer and a string, means we have a different kind of a data type over here. Because of this, it will not be able to do a comparison internally, because sorting means what? Sorting means we are trying to do the comparison between the data, right? So we have a different data type inside a list, and if that is a case, it will not be able to perform a comparison operation. And because of that, it is telling me that this one is not supported, lesser than, right? Because comparison means lesser than, greater than, it will try to do the comparison internally, and then finally it is giving you the final data set. Here it is not able to do a comparison because of string and integer combination. So this is not a valid one. I'll try to take another list. Let me take L9 over here, and here I'll try to write SUDH, and then I'll try to write KUMAR, and then I'll try to write basically KUMAR, and then I'll try to write PYTHON, Python, execute. Now if I'm going to call L9.sort sort, let's see what happens. So L9. Now, when I have just a same kind of a data, means when I have just a string, yes, it is able to do a comparison operation based on alphabet. So K always, if you'll see the alphabetical order, K always comes first, and then P comes, and then S comes. So here, based on the alphabetical order, it is able to perform the sorting operation. But if there is a mixture, it will not be able to perform this kind of a operation. Now let's suppose if I have L10, okay, L10 I have, inside this I have integer, inside this I have an integer, and then I have a floating point number. So maybe 1.34, something like this. Now L10 dot sort I'm going to call. Now it is not giving me any kind of a error, and yes, it is able to do operations. So, and it is able to do a proper operations, right? It is able to do a sorting operations over here, although we have an integer and float. So here, number to number comparison, it is able to perform, but number to string or number to any other data type comparison, it is not able to perform. And that is a issue with the sort function. Now, sort is done. Now let's try to perform some different operations. So let's suppose I have L10, or maybe I can take maybe L5. So this is my L5. Now I would like to reverse this entire list. Means as of now it is printing from this direction, right? I want to print my list in this direction permanently. So one thing is I can write L5 is equals to : -1. So I'm just trying to reverse it, and then I'm trying to do a reassignment operation. So even in this way, I will be able to get the output. Or what I can do is I can try to call L5 dot reverse function. There is a reverse reverse function, which will try to reverse the list in this way. So this entire operation is equal to this operation. It is reversing it and then it is retaining it. Again, if I'm going to perform this operation, assignment operation, after reversal, it will be able to perform the exact same thing. So these two operations are exact same. If you're not able to remember this, you can use this, or vice versa. You can try to apply. In both the way, you all will be able to reverse the entire entity, reverse the entire data set. Okay. So reverse is fine. Now, let's try to understand another thing. So here, let's suppose we have L4. So L4 is a little bit bigger. I'm going to do L8. Let's see. Okay, L8 is a bit smaller. Fine. So I'm going to take L8 data. Now here, L8 dot copy I'm going to perform. L8 dot copy I'm going to perform. Now here, if I'm going to execute it. Now what copy does? Return the solo copy of the list. Return the solo copy of the list. Now, what is the meaning of solo copy? And there is a concept which is a reverse of this concept called as deep copy. So what is the difference between deep copy and a solo copy? Let me explain you that part with the help of this copy operation. And again, in many interviews, people generally ask you a question that what is the difference between a deep copy and a solo copy? So with the help of this one, I'll try to explain you. Just focus over here for next 4 to 5 minutes. Okay, you will be able to understand a difference between a deep copy and a solo copy. Now let's suppose I'm going to create a list 11, list 11 I'm going to create. A small one I'll try to create so that you can remember, where we have 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, fine. Now I'll try to create a list 1, 2, and here I'll try to assign a list 1, 1 value. Okay. So there is a list I have created, and here inside a memory, I'm going to create the same thing. Let's suppose this is my memory. Okay. Inside the memory, I'm trying to create this list. So where we have 2, 3, 4, and 5. Fine. We have this particular data set. Now it's referring to list 1, 1. Okay. It's referring to list 1, 1. This one. Now what I have done this operation. So list 1, 2 is equal to list 1, 1, means I'm trying to create one variable. I'm trying to assign this 1, 1 value, means this particular value, to this variable. So what will happen in this case is list 1, 2 is pointing to the same location. List 1, 2 is pointing to the same location where list 1, 1 is. Okay, fine. Now I'll try to perform some alternate operation over here. Let's do it. So here it goes, and list 1, 1. Now I'll try to create list 1, 3, and here I'll try to do list 1, 1 dot copy, execute. Now one example is an example of a deep copy, and another example is an example of solo copy. Now what is the difference between deep copy and a solo copy? So see, we are able to understand the situation that we have created the list L11. It's referring to this one. L12, it's referring to the same list. Now, when I'm trying to do this copy, list 1, 3 is a copy of list 1, 1. Now, what it will do internally inside a memory, it will try to occupy a new memory space, and here it will try to keep 2, 3, 4, 5, this particular list, and this is referring to 1, 3. Now, this two list is same. Right? This two list is same. So when you are trying to do a copy operation, when you are trying to perform this copy operation, so copy means it will try to create a copy into a next memory or in a new memory space, and then it is referring to 1, 3. Yes, then it is referring to 1, 3. Now what will be the impact you all will be able to see? So one is an example of deep copy. So why it is called as deep copy? Let me explain you. And then why another one is called as solo copy. So the very first example, this one is called as deep copy, DEEP, deep copy. And this one is called as solo copy, SHALLOW, solo copy. So why this operation is called as solo copy and this operation is called as deep copy? So what I will do is, I'll try to write print L11 over here, then print L12, and then print L13. I'm trying to print all three. All three are same as of now. Okay, all three are same as of now. Now I'll try to make any kind of a changes in list L11. So let's suppose I'm accessing a 0th indexes data, and then instead of 2, means at 0th indexes, what is the data? We have 2, right, in list 11. I'll try to assign my name over here. Okay, so list 11, it has changed. The very first one has changed. I have assigned the data, yes, at a 0th location. So this one has changed. Fine. So list 11 I have changed. So instead of 2, I have placed my name. Now if you are going to check list 12, what will happen? Will I be able to see the same changes inside list 12? Let's see. Yes. See, I have not made any changes in list 12. Have I ever made any kind of a changes in list 12? No. I have made a changes in list 11. It is trying to reflect the same changes in list 12, as you can see, because both the list element, this is what I was talking about, both the list element, both the list variables 12 and 11 is referring to the same one because of this operation, because of this assignment operation. But let's try to print list 13, because even list 13 I have created from where? List 13 I have created from list 11. Yes, 13 I have also created from list 11. So now I'll go and I'll try to check whether it is able to replicate the same changes in list 13 or not. No, not at all. See, list 13 is as it is. List 13 is as it is. There is no changes it has made inside a list 13 at all. List 13 is untouched. Vice versa. If I'm going to make any kind of a changes, in list 12, same thing it will be able to access. But in list 13, you won't be able to see any changes. Or if you are going to make any changes in list 13, it will not impact either of these two. Let's do it. Let's do and check. Okay. So list 13, I'll try to access any of this element, 0th element, and then I'll try to make a changes. I'll try to assign this number in list 13. Now let's see list 13. Changes is done. It's been replaced. 0th element is replaced by the next element. Okay, that's fine. Now I'll go and check list 12. Are we able to see the changes? No. List 11. Are we able to see the changes? No. Okay, we are not able to see the changes. So this is called as shallow copy. Means whatever. So it will copy the data. That's completely fine. But it is not going to impact after copying the data going forward. So these two are basically having the same data. Initially, I have assigned the same data, but going forward, if I'm going to make any kind of a changes, it is not going to give me those changes or reflect those changes in either of these. So that is a reason, right? That is a reason this part is called as what? This part is called as what? This is called as DEEP, deep copy. This is called as shallow, shallow copy. So this is called as shallow copy and this is called as deep copy. And many time you will see, so when you will do the implementation, many time you will see that you have to create a separate element. You have to keep all the data separate element you have to create from the same existing element where you don't want to get impact going forward, or maybe you want impact. So you have to follow deep copy and a shallow copy concept over here. So if you don't want the impact, create this copy. If you want the impact, create this copy. And in this way, you will try to solve the problem. And many places you will be able to find out the same thing. So you are changing in one and it's reflecting in others. And you will get confused that why it is doing it. It is doing it because of deep copy and a shallow copy concept. So changes in one is affecting the others. So hope all of you are able to understand the concept of deep copy and a shallow copy. Now, let's try to understand another one. So I'm going to call list11 and list11 dot clear. There is a function called as clear. I'm going to call. Now call list11. Gone. Cleared. Right? So this is what clear does. Clears out all the list. So list will be there, variable will be there, but it is going to clear out. It is going to just like wipe out each and everything, whatever is available inside a particular list. Now let's call list13 over here. I'll try to show you another operation. So there is an operation called as sum. So let's suppose if I'm looking for a summation of all the element. Okay, summation of all the element. Whatever elements are available, I'm looking for summation of all the element if it is an integer. So in that case, it is going to sum. So just call the sum function and then pass the list. You will be able to get the data. Let's suppose I have a list, maybe a list 14 I have, and here we have just a string kumar, and then we have Python. We have Python. Execute. Now if I'm going to call sum over here, list 14, execute. Now here it is telling me that unsupported operand type for plus, integer and string. So here in this case, it is not going to perform a summation operation. So if we have a string inside it, if we have an integer, or maybe if we have a numbers, in that case, obviously it is going to work, but not in this situation. It is not going to work at all. Sum is fine. Then let's suppose we have a list 13 and I have to access what is the minimum element available inside a list. So there is a function called as min. I can try to pass list 13. It will give me the minimum element. Whatever minimum element that we have, we can filter it out. Let's suppose if I'm looking for a maximum. So yes, I can try to pass list 13 and I will be able to get what is the maximum element available inside a particular list. So in this way, it will be able to get me the element and it will be able to return anything. Now here, there is a function called as sorted, S-O-R-T-E-D, sorted function, external function. I can try to pass list 13 and it is going to sort this entire element. So this is again equivalent to the sort function that we have already discussed. Yes. So this is just an isolated function or individual function which is available. You can just try to pass a list or any other element, any other iterable elements. It is going to work fine for you. It is going to perform the sort operations. Again, similarly, we have a reversed function, inbuilt Pythonic reversed function. So I can try to pass my list and it is going to give me the reverse object. It is going to give me the reverse object. But unless and until, see, it is giving me the object, right? Unless and until I'm not going to pass inside a list, I will not be able to see the data. I will not be able to get an element out of the object. This is what reverse does. It will always try to give you the object. You have to pass somewhere where it will be able to understand the iterable. So either you can pass it inside the for loop, you can try to use iter or next function, or you can try to pass it inside the list. So as we have not discussed about the iter or next function, we have not discussed about the loop. So I can't use it and show it to you. So this is one of the simplest way by which I can show you that there is a data, it has reversed it. You can say that it is bringing me a data into a reverse order. So fine guys, I believe you all are able to understand a lot from a list. Almost all the functionalities you all are able to understand. Let me check if I have not discussed any of the functions. So list 11 I'm going to call dot. So append we have discussed, clear we have discussed, copy we have discussed, count we have discussed, extend we have discussed, index we have discussed, insert we have discussed, pop we have discussed, remove we have discussed, reverse we have discussed, sort we have discussed. So we have discussed all the inbuilt function in this particular lecture. So hope all of you are feeling happy after attending this lecture. Hope all of you are able to learn something after attending this lecture, right? This is a list. And believe me, this building blocks, right? These building blocks are going to help you out a lot because these are the building blocks for this Python programming language. And yes, we'll try to focus more and more on a building block so that you will feel confident. If you will just start coding some problem statement, it will not help you out unless and until you are not aware about the building block. And again, I used to repeat in every classes that don't try to do a copy paste initially. Yes, see guys, while writing a production grade code, right, we all do a copy and paste. We all take a reference from a Google or maybe some other tools, or maybe we try to look into our own previous code. We all does that. But as a beginner, when you are trying to learn, you don't have to do that. At least you should avoid it for a couple of months initially, unless and until you are not feeling confident, so that you will struggle, so that you will get an error and you will try to fix it. See, coding is not about coding. Anyone can go copy and paste and then they can do it. It's all about fixing a bug. And in production, we used to get a lot of bug. Believe me, a lot of bug. And we spend day and night just to fix those bugs. And then you will become a pro coder. right? So first try to focus on our building blocks, then obviously avoid copy and paste, and don't remember anything. Many people will come and say that and this is what I get as a question every time in all of my classes, that you are discussing so many things, you are discussing so many functions, and I'm not able to remember. You don't have to even remember, type it and forget it, believe me, because once you will progress, right, you will feel like I'm just able to relate each and everything automatically. So see, when we try to speak or we try to communicate in one of the language, right? Maybe English, Hindi, Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, French, German, anything, right? We don't even think before speaking. Our brain automatically try to process your thoughts or your words, and then based on that it generates the answer. Automatically, we as a human being are able to do it. Same happens with the programming. So initially it will be a little bit difficult, right? But if you are going in this sequence, it's not going to be difficult. And this is where I come into a picture. So if I'm not able to solve your problem, right? If you're not able to increase your interest in learning programming and then doing a project, designing the architecture, right? Then I don't think that I should exist in this entire ecosystem as a teacher. And this is where I fall into picture. So I'll keep on simplifying the things for you. I'll keep on teaching you things, but in a specific sequence, one by one, one step at a time. And this is what I have done in last 7 to 8 years, where more than 10,000 people are able to make a transition, a real one in a real company, from a junior level till a senior level, even with a 20 plus experience guy, are able to do a transition on a big level. And again, freshers are able to do it. People from a non-tech backgrounds are able to do it. People from tech background, people who is having a dropout, who's having a gap in their career, right? All of them are able to do it, because at the end of the day, these things doesn't matter. The only thing which matters is skill, and then whether I'm able to showcase, whether I'm able to project those skills in an interview or not, whether I'm able to sell myself into an interview or not. This is the only things which matters. Apart from that, nothing matters. So keep learning, keep enjoying, don't take tension, just type. One day, within 10 to 15 days, you will feel like I'm able to do better. This is the kind of a feeling you all are supposed to get. With that, thank you so much everyone. See you again in my next chapter.